Peter Murkovic comes after my boy and my family, I'll burn this fucking city to the ground.
So the action doesn't stop with force, and it really is gonna get even more wild and crazy, especially after what we saw Walter Flynn just do with killing 3 of Murkovic's men. And it was cold, it was savage, and Walter Flynn just showed us that he's someone who's definitely not to be messed with. And he did tease earlier on in the season about the history between the CBI and the Flynns when he massacred 9 of the CBI men for what happened to Uncle Paulie's wife. And he did say he would have buried 15 more of them, and now we can see he wasn't lying, which is why Diamond and the CBI had to take a step back, otherwise they risk losing even more men. But Walter Flynn killing the Serbs was caused by a series of events, from Vic going against his father with Gloria, and also admitting that he was the one who attacked the Serbs with Tommy. But as usual, we're going to go through some different perspectives when it comes to this whole situation with Walter Flynn, the Serbs, and the shootout involving Gloria and Vic. But we're also going to have a look at how Tommy paid tribute to Ghost, and how he's using and adapting everything that he learned from Ghost and New York, and also teaching Claudia. But I do think there is trouble ahead for Tommy. But we're going to finish and look at Diamond's issues with Adrienne. But let's start with Tommy being 5 moves ahead, because we learned last week 1% is a big number when it comes to this game, because Gennard, being a numbers man, mentioned how quickly it can add up, and they all know more money equals more power. So Tommy letting go of being outvoted by Diamond, Gennard, and Vic Flynn actually did Tommy a favor, because now all his focus and attention was setting up the pipeline for the real winning drug, which was Dahlia. And this was Tommy being 5 moves ahead, because this was already in motion with Claude Flynn. But Tommy showed us that he learned so much from Ghost and their business back in New York, because hiding in plain sight was something that Ghost and Tommy put in place back in the day, and it definitely worked for them.
Our operation's built for finesse. We got motherfuckers that blend in, part of the scenery.
And this is exactly what we're watching Tommy teach Claudia in episode 6. He's building his operation for finesse, blending in and being a part of the scenery, and hiding in plain sight with these lockers. So with Ghost and Tommy putting distance between them and the streets, this is what Tommy wanted in place in Chicago, with him and Claudia in essence being ghosts, because he didn't give the keys to the buyers. That was Liliana's job, while Tommy was just behind a phone. And if we were to rewind it back to Power again, we also saw a similar system being used by Tariq when he was at Callister, with how he used his teacher Radnor to move his product, and again also in Power Book 2 Ghost with Tariq and Brayden with the lockers on the rooftop. So Tommy really is moving like Ghost more and more, and wearing a suit just like Ghost really was a fitting tribute to his ex-partner. But now he's got a dangerous new partner by his side, because Claudia's shown how bloodthirsty she is after dropping her first body and losing her mind. But Tommy was on hand to calm her down and told her that this is who they are and this is the game. Bodies will drop along the way and she needs to be prepared for this. But these two really would make a dangerous combination if they can learn to work together in the long term, because we saw how Claude took out both of Reggie's eyes, claiming yet another body, which again, Tommy helped her with. So we really are seeing a bloodthirsty Claudia Flynn being born, and having Tommy by her side, she really can't go wrong, can she? But as the trailer for episode 7 showed us, I don't think it's going to be plain sailing smooth, because Tommy's making all the decisions, and Claudia is someone who will want to have a say at some point. And I do think she will make a decision or two without Tommy. So as much as them being a dangerous combination, and Tommy pulling her up, just like he was doing with Vic Flynn earlier on in the season, I do think it is going to be a bumpy ride, especially when Walter Flynn finds out what they're up to. But let's talk about the drive-by shootout on Gloria and Vic next, because this will lay down the foundations for Walter Flynn savagely taking out 3 of Murkovic's men. So from KP the G, she said, "I think Walter Flynn set the play on Gloria, but once he found out about the Serbs, he had to step in for his son, which gave him a way to cover his tracks." Now I'm going to expand on this, because one thing we've learned over the course of Power Book 4 Force is Walter Flynn is always covering for Vic and Claudia, as well as trying to find a way to blame the CBI. So rewinding it back to the very first episode of Force, Gennard said that the Yardie that was killed by Tommy was going to be pinned on the CBI by Walter Flynn. And also, even though I do believe Diamond when he said the hit on Uncle Paulie's wife wasn't him or the CBI, Walter Flynn still blames them, because Walter Flynn is forever blaming the CBI because he believes they're easy fall guys, and of course because of his racist ways. So when Vic told Walter that they need to have a spare plate ready because Gloria was going to join them for family dinner on Sunday, we all knew he wasn't going to stand for it. So is this what forced Walter Flynn into taking matters into his own hands? Because he tried bribing Gloria, but it doesn't seem like that worked, so he may have tried to scare her off with this drive-by shootout. And again, this is something we've seen twice in the Power world, once with Ghost and Kanan using a drive-by shootout to scare the Italians off from working with Tommy, and also in Power Book 2 Ghost, when it was obvious that Mecca was the one who set up this drive-by shootout with Monet and Zeke at the basketball court, so they had no choice but to lean on him for protection. But coming back to Power Book 4 Force, Gloria definitely doesn't go down easily, and she showed it again in this scene. But when Vic Flynn came back home, we saw Walter Flynn try and blame it on the CBI, because again, they're easy fall guys, and Walter Flynn really is blinded by racism. But the thing is with this one, if Walter Flynn really was the one behind the drive-by, then he realized that he can't blame it on the CBI, because Vic Flynn noticed that the shooter was white, and the only people that sprung to mind were the Serbs. So if we were to look at this in the perspective of Walter Flynn doing the drive-by, then he definitely was covering his tracks by killing the 3 Serbs. And just how savage were these kills from Walter Flynn? I mentioned earlier on that he massacred 9 of the CBI soldiers back in the day, but now we're seeing what each Flynn is capable of. We saw Vic Flynn taking out 2 of the Serbs when he had Tommy's back. We've also seen Claudia drop 2 bodies with Mai and Reggie, and definitely well on her way to building this bloodthirsty appetite. And no wonder Vic and Claudia are the way they are, because they definitely get this trait from their father. But with these Serbian kills, whether it was to protect Vic Flynn or Walter Flynn's real actions, with him committing the drive-by, this is gonna have some consequences. Because where Diamond and the CBI were scared to take the fight back to the Flynns in fear of losing more men, I really don't think it's gonna be the same case when it comes to the Serbs, because I think we could very well be in for Merkovic versus Walter Flynn, and it could very well turn into a bloodbath. Because I really don't see either of them bowing down to the other. But let's see what happens with this one, because we still need to remember that the Serbs were being investigated by Detective Whitman on Power Book 2 Ghost, so I really don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon, because I do believe they could be the connection and crossover between Power Book 4 Force and Ghost Season 3. But let's talk about Diamond and Adrienne, because I'm sure we all got undercover vibes from her the minute she got the phone call, and also when she was looking at Diamond's article when he was sentenced to 15 years. But the question is, who is Adrienne working for? Now in my recap, I briefly mentioned that Officer Bennigan was one person who was after Diamond and the CBI for what his bad dope did to Kiki Watkins in 2006, who I do believe could be his sister, and it could very well have been him who planted Adrienne in Diamond's booth. But let's have a look at this from a different perspective, from Goodsey, who said Adrienne's working for them cats in prison, because they said let Diamond get comfortable and that's when they're gonna make their move. So I'm just gonna play the short scene to remind you guys.
We let them get real comfortable outside, then we make the motherfucking call.
We'll get him, Rojas.
So I really wouldn't be surprised if it was either Officer Bennigan or Rojas, because one way to make someone real comfortable is love. And we even heard Uncle Paulie mention that love is something that can't be controlled, and we've seen this principle of law from the 48 Laws of Power being used in the Power universe, for example with Angela and Ghost. So I really do think Diamond needs to watch himself. So let's see whether she's working for Officer Bennigan, Rojas, or possibly even someone else. But let me know your thoughts down below on Diamond's situation, as well as Tommy's moves and Walter Flynn's biggest move on Power Book 4 Force so far. So drop all your thoughts down below, and of course if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 4 Force and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.